or the field?
I'll let you take the first crack at this.
Nothing new here. This question has been asked since Alabama beat LSU back in New Orleans earlier this year.
Right.
So as you look through it, you go, well, you know, a lot of people kicking the tires on USC. Maybe it's Oregon, Oklahoma with their schedules, West Virginia, dark horse. I feel weird even saying that out loud. What about the Big Ten? Florida State getting a ton of love too. But I'm taking the SEC, man. You're giving me 5 of the top 10 in the preseason polls. That's what you have right now. I'm not telling you one is so much better than the rest of college football. I'm just looking at the odds here. I like my chances with this conference.
As a side note, don't want to get too far off the rails here, but last night, South Carolina, ranked as a top 10 team. Connor Shaw, their quarterback, was banged up. It was a gutty win.
He looked bad before he got hurt, though.
Correct.
Right?
And James Franklin and Vanderbilt, they're quietly seething about a no call late that would have given them a first down and a chance to extend a drive and perhaps win this game. I didn't think they looked fantastic. Their defense is pretty good. Lattimore being back and being healthy does make them a formidable team, but are they a top 10 team? This is where people will tell you you get overvalue from the SEC, but this is where I argue with fans from other conferences and say they've earned the benefit of the doubt, so I don't want to hear you complaining about it.
And we're also talking about the 5th best team possibly in that conference. So if you want to play that game,
right,
or you say, okay, South Carolina's not really, the SEC's overrated, all that stuff.
Who's your 5th best?
Washington?
Yeah, who's your 5th best? I'll take the field this year. When Todd Blackledge, Kirk Herbstreit, myself, we recorded a bunch of segments about college football. We went through and did it once, and then there was an issue that we had to go back and redo it. And Kirby and Blackledge realized we just picked 4 teams, and none of us said an SEC team. And they both took a moment and said, "Wow," because it was like it dawned on them, "Are we screwing up?" I think Todd changed it just because he thought he had a moment of clarity there. But
we're talking what teams again there?
Florida State, Oregon, USC, and Oklahoma were the 4 teams that they had collectively that made it without the SEC getting in. It's such a minefield. I don't know that there's separation between Alabama and LSU. I know this much. If there's benefit of the doubt to be given at the end of the year, and there's a one-loss team from there, and there's a one-loss team from somewhere else, they've earned the right to get the one-loss team. I think if there's a year to take a flyer, this is the year to take a flyer and take the field.
Are the defenses that good, or are the quarterbacks just that bad?
I'm going to say it's a little bit of both, and I'm not trying to punt on the question. I look around at how many great pros we got right now that are out of the SEC at quarterback.
Well,
Stafford?
The SEC has 6 quarterbacks, which is as much as any other conference in the NFL.
Starting?
Yeah, starting week 1.
Okay.
I went and did this 2 weeks ago.
All right.
Because people say that a lot, like, oh, there's none of them. There's actually 6.
But
Eli, Peyton, Cutler, Stafford, Cam Newton's another one.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I'm going through it. As I look at him this year, Tyler Wilson, I think he's going to be Arkansas. I think he's going to be a pro. I think that there's Murray at Georgia. I mean, I could keep going. It's not a great quarterback league. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there's just savages on the other side of the ball going side to side like no other conference in the land.
So you're saying a little bit of both, and that's the right answer. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to say the defenses are that good. Okay, I know the arguments from the Big 12 and the Pac-12 saying, oh, the quarterbacks stink and all the offenses are out here. Well, here's the deal. When you look at the NFL and you look at the history of the draft picks, do you think the NFL is just dumb too? They took 42 players from the SEC last year in the draft. That was 11 more than anybody else. 2 years ago, Scott, the SEC had 49 players drafted. Second, by the way, of course,
ACC.
The ACC's always second. They always have second.
Respect my conference.
Except they can't win any games.
That's true.
So, yeah, 3rd and 7 for Mississippi State looks like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
For a lot of these teams, maybe at the bottom half, but when you have these defensive ends, and coaches and football people from all over the country say it's just different down there, the depth and the talent they have on those D-lines, I'm going to say forced to choose, I'm going to say it's the defenses.
With Ryan Marcel on Scott Van Pelt, ESPN Radio. On ESPN Radio tonight, Tennessee and NC State, 6:30 Eastern. You can listen here. You can check it out on ESPNU. The Duke spit a bunch of new raps. We're going to drop one on you here and then a bunch more throughout the course of the day. Final question from the SEC.
Would you take anyone over Nick Saban as head coach?
I wouldn't. All right, if I get a chance and I get any coach, I'll take him. But if you ask that question in Eugene, Oregon, you know what my guess is? I bet people think, they'll say, you know what Chip Kelly's done the last 3 years? When they win the Pac-12 and go to 3 straight BCS bowl games. I think they take their guy. I think you could find areas in the country where they'd say, we like what we've got, but the answer around almost everywhere in the nation ought to be yes to this question.
No debate.
That's it.
That's it.
Fair enough. At SVP Show, I'll ask everyone in the country, would you take Nick Saban as your head coach? If you say no, wherever you are around the land,